Bro, atrocious offense in the first half. I don't know, man. I was telling CJ earlier, uh, for people that are expecting fireworks in game one of the Thunder and Timberwolves in terms of offense, I don't think you were watching the series, right? These are the best defensive teams in the world, so they're definitely going to be battling. I think Shea was 2 of 13 in the first half.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boys over here at Three Man Weave. I am your co-host CJ here with my lovely co-host ZD on this beautiful Wednesday, May 21st afternoon. We just got done watching the game one of the Western Conference Finals yesterday. You were able to pull up on us. We had a little content day, and it was great seeing you. You got the boys drip on right now too, so we appreciate that. But how are you doing today, sir? I wanted to start off with that. Sorry.
Bro, I'm good. I think it's a blessed day, obviously, for you, catching a W. We'll get into this what happened today, man. I don't want to spoil it for right now, but just unbelievable. Just a lot of hope. For me, bro, I'm doing good though, man. I had a good day at work. I was able to chop it up with my girl, tell her about obviously what happened, Thunder for everything like that. So it's cool. I got to talk to her about basketball, and it's just been a good day, man. Talking to Stacks too, Sias. Like I talked to everybody today. So shout out everybody out. Got to show love, but I'm just ready to chop it up about hoops, man. So we coming at you guys live with it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Obviously we'll be reviewing the game one of the Western Conference Finals, but there was also something huge that happened today. I don't. You wanna save that for later in the
Yeah,
pod?
man. I mean, for people who may have been waiting a long time, and I know Thunder fans have been waiting a long time, but also if you're just a fan of the NBA, but today they announced the NBA's MVP for the 2024-2025 season, and it goes to none other than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Um, what can you say, man? 32 points a game, pretty much, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and CJ, can you tell the informational thing that you had about his defensive stats, please?
Yes. So I have it right here actually, but
Perfect.
he was third in stocks, which is steals and blocks, behind San Antonio's Victor Wembanyama, and Atlanta's Dyson Daniels. He had 208. So
Yep. Thunder 68 and 14, best team in the NBA, best player on the best team. It's very simple, like Tyrese Halliburton said it. I love this is the way that we're starting off with the pod because I think he deserves it, bro. And I'm gonna get into a talking point I had seen on Laker Nation, so I think it was cool. Shout out them for bringing this up. But now that Shea has secured this MVP, yeah, the questions about Luca, man, and some of the other players that are still looking for the MVP, Jason Tatum as well, not just Luca, but I think it kind of shows where Shea is compared to the rest of the league, man. And like you were just telling me 10 minutes ago, sometimes you forget that he's not American. The
mm-hmm.
past 5 years, we've had international MVPs in the NBA, so that's really cool to see that the
Super
game is
cool.
continuing to grow. But just unbelievable season, third in the NBA in stocks, and that's really the most important stat I wanted to bring up is what he's been able to do on the defensive end. I think is what separates him from Jokic and really every other MVP candidate besides Giannis, right? I
Right.
think Giannis is also a competent defender as well, but everybody else, man, kind of struggles on that side of the ball. Or even Jokic, I think, had a better year this year on the defensive end. I'm not gonna lie, he
Yeah.
definitely like steal and a half, 2 steals. Like he was getting his hands on basketball. So I don't want to like hate on him too much, but I think it's just a separating factor, bro. When we
Yeah.
talk about Shea, just his scoring ability, and I brought this up to you earlier too, but every single year he seems to improve.
Yeah.
I brought up Luka Doncic earlier. It seems to me that not that he's capped out of the type of player that he is, but we know what Luka's going to bring to the game. There's really not much more he can do sometimes, and I think Jokic runs into that as well. But Shea is just in the middle of getting into his prime, man. I would say his prime is just now starting. You got the next 5 or 6 years of this type of so I know I'm looking forward to it. I know you're looking forward to it, and I'm just unbelievable. I'm speechless, bro. I'm excited to hear what you think about it.
Yeah, bro. I mean,
Unbelievable.
obviously this is it hits home for me, and Shea is one of my favorite players. Obviously, he's on my favorite team, so that kind of goes hand in hand. But just kind of seeing what he's been able to really like mold his career into. I feel like is what is super inspirational for me, for one, as a Thunder fan, and just as a fan of basketball. I feel like I think I might have brought this up to you, a couple pods back, but I think his ascension that Shai has taken is like Steph Curry esque. Like it was very obviously Steph Curry super good at Davidson. Shai was pretty good too, but he wasn't like that talked about in college. He was a
Like not
bucket.
the number one pick or
Yeah, he wasn't like a top 5 pick or nothing. I think he was later on in the lottery, but just kind of his progression and what we kind of took the chance on him, and obviously it was probably more so at the time on the Clippers picks, but they gave us Shai in return, and just kind of seeing what since he's been here, like you said, each year he's gotten better. And it's crazy to think that, like you brought the Luka conversation up and we've had that discussion as well. He just started off his career so great. So anywhere from that is kind of hard to be better than, right? So that's
yeah,
kind of
hard
like
to,
the
yeah.
conversation that we had with that. But for Shai, on the other hand, started off with the Clippers, didn't, wasn't that great, coming off the bench, doing what he can. And then, those first couple years in OKC when we had Chris Paul that first year, we were in the bubble, and I think that kind of helped him a lot grow his career and into the player he is. And then just kind of once we started rebuilding, kind of tanking in a sense, right, when we got Chet the following year, and then we got like J-Dub that same year. So it's like, just kind of building. And I think it just kind of goes to show, yeah, like you don't need to be on the biggest stage. You don't need to be in the LAs. You don't need to be in New York. Like if a team, they
Big
like
market.
you, big
Yeah.
market teams, you know what I mean? Like if a team gives you a shot, and this is really what you want to do, if you want to be successful in whatever it is, your career path, like you can do it. And I think that's something I've learned a lot from Shai. I actually screen recorded a question, and I kind of want to play it for y'all, for the audience, and I'll probably show it on the screen for context, but it was something that kind of stuck with me, and just kind of the type of player he is. So this was the question that they asked.
Shai, you mentioned that this team didn't panic. You've been a leader of this team for a while now, but how would you describe what that process has been like of leading by example?
Yeah, it's just true to my personality. Not always the loudest guy in the room or say too much, but my energy and effort and what I put on the floor speaks louder than anything. And that's just how I try to not only like go about the game, but go about life. Like actions always mean louder than words to me, especially. So that's just how I go about it.
So that just stuck with me, bro, because like I said, I don't mean to sound corny, yet I don't mean to glaze, but like he's my favorite player on my favorite team, bro. So it's like I see what he's how he's leading a good, like a great young team, young group of guys, and it's like kind of motivational in a sense. So just bro, and I told you it's like OKC, I've been a fan since they became OKC. So the fact that, this is our third different MVP, I think in the past 11 years, it's crazy, bro. And I think we have like the most MVPs that, aren't repeat or multiple time MVPs for a squad. And, like I said, I'm not from Oklahoma City, so I'm not even claiming that, but I've been there rocking with them since the beginning. So I kind of am in a sense, I would say I'm like I'm a Oklahoma City Thunder, Oklahomian type of thing. You know what I mean? Like I rock with them and all that. So it's cool.
Yeah, like you'll show love to
I'll sh-
Oklahoma City.
of course,
Yeah,
it's crazy because I've never even been there. You know what I mean? But it's
for sure.
I think it's just like I told you,
That's
bro.
fun.
Very nostalgic. Very watching KD when I was younger. Then watching Russ when KD left. Now that whole phase is gone. Seeing Shai do what he does, bro. It's like you can't really get any better than that, bro. Like like I said, this season has brought me so much joy, and doing this consistently with you, bro. It has got me very focused in my life and where I want to do with it, what I'm interested in, and that might be sacrificing certain things, and I'm not comparing myself to NBA players, but they also do that as well. So it's like it translates to the court, and by byproduct of like the stuff that we do is going to translate on in whatever avenues we're trying to go through. So it's been super dope, bro. That's I went a little more on like the sentimental type of side, because I feel like
Inspirational, yeah, I like that.
inspirational, like because he I feel like for everyone that hasn't really watched him or calls him a foul baiter, I don't know. I just don't waste my time with those type of conversations,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
just don't think they really were watching the
I
game.
agree.
You know what I mean? So,
I
and
agree.
there's, just like you said, he's impacting the game on both sides of the ball, which a lot of our previous MVPs, Embiid is pretty good. I would say he was on the better side on the defensive end, but like, it's really just Jokic, I guess, because Giannis is also.
Yeah,
It was just Jokic,
yeah.
but like obviously great player, like
Three-time
unbelievable,
MVP as
three-time
well.
MVP
So
for a reason. But I think just kind of what he's able to do on the defensive side as well. Like I said, he's third in stocks throughout the whole year as a guard. That doesn't really isn't imposing his height or his strength. It's just kind of his like savviness and the way his intellect on the court. Yeah, no, bro, it's that's really all I gotta say, bro. Shout out to Shai, like I said, third MVP on the Thunder, and I couldn't be happier than what I am at this point. And then
it's and I think it's also a testament to the roster that the Thunder have built around him. I think J-Dub, Chet, like Caruso, Lou Dort, like all of those guys allow for Shea to be great, and he always gives praise to those dudes and gives them their props. And I think the Thunder have just created an ultimate brotherhood, and Shea's at the epicenter of that, man. He's he's kind of the engine that makes. At this point, I said this to you earlier, but in my opinion, yeah, he's better than Luka Doncic right now. If you want to make the case that he's the best player in the world right now, I wouldn't argue with you on it.
mm-hmm.
At this point, he's like, what more can you say?
Yeah.
Did you want to ask that question that you asked me earlier?
I asked ZD a little earlier before we started recording. I was like, obviously with Shai winning this MVP, he's already in that talks of being one of our best players ever. I asked him if, we end up winning the chip, will he be the greatest Thunder player ever?
And I said, hell yeah. At this point, in my opinion, it looks like Shai is going to stay with OKC. There's really no reason for him to leave, especially if they're competing for championships. That's what Shai wants to do. It doesn't matter what the team on his chest. He wants to compete for championships. But if the Thunder are giving him the best opportunity to do that, he's not going to leave that. He's not stupid. Like CJ just said, he's a very intelligent basketball player. He's also a very intelligent human. Mm-hmm. So I think when I look at it from that perspective, he's bringing a lot to the Thunder, man. And I would argue just as much as Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are bringing to were bringing to the Thunder, right? I think Shai's in the midst of bringing the same amount, maybe more, that KD and Russ brought, and that's crazy to say, but ultimately, look, he's staring down the barrel of becoming Western Conference Final MVP, which honestly, the award wasn't around at the time when Russ and KD were going at it for the Thunder, but those guys don't have that on the resume. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to potentially go to the NBA Finals this year. So, bro, I think Shai's probably a Hall of Famer if he continues, like I said, for the next 2 years at this level. Mm-hmm. I don't really see how you can't put him there, especially looking at his resume. We're just talking about all these great dudes, Tatum, Doncic, like they're still looking for their MVPs, and it's not to say that they won't get there, but if those guys don't get an MVP, it's definitely going to hurt them. They're still first ballot Hall of Famers, right? But it's going to hurt them in their speech. They'll probably talk about it, truthfully. Yeah. Like if Luka or Tatum don't win an MVP, you'll probably hear that in their Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah, 100%.
How that really got to them, because I know it bothers them, bro. I know Jokic and Shai and Giannis have just completely. You know what? I might even call it for next season. Those guys might be top 3 too. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, neither would I.
Shai's been unreal, and he was the best out of the 3. We've talked about it for 40, 45 episodes at this point. You've been saying it all year, but I think today was that day.
It's crazy, bro. Like I said, it's just kind of like a surreal moment. I guess that's the best way to explain it for me.
Yeah, put a bow on
it.
There.
Yeah,
surreal
like you said.
Moment. Unreal. But man, let's just get right into this, man. Pulled up on CJ, bro. Thankfully, I was on call. I wasn't able to have as much time as I would have liked, but I was able to sit down with him and peep this game and just going straight into my thoughts because I know he's gonna have his. But bro, atrocious offense in the first half. I don't know, man. I was telling CJ earlier, uh, for people that are expecting fireworks in game one of the Thunder and Timberwolves in terms of offense, I don't think you were watching the series, right? These are the best defensive teams in the world, so they're definitely going to be battling. I think Shai was 2 of 13 in the first half, if I have it right in my notes, and Julius Randle was really at the epicenter of what the Timberwolves were doing, bro. We had talked about it on this podcast for the last 10 episodes, really, but he could make our first team all playoff team, bro, if he continues to play the way that he's been playing. I think he hit like 4 trays in the first half, so just tons of triples, doing a big smile. I think for me, I wrote it down. Joy, bro, and I brought it up a lot of times, but he seems like way happier, which contributes to like the way that you play. And it was kind of like what CJ was saying, the way that Shai's played all year, just play with a ton of joy and happiness and effort. And that's what you get. I was seeing that from Julius Randle last night, and I think he was really the Timberwolves' best player, just controlling that offense. Ant was doing his thing as well, dissecting the defense too in that first half. I know he didn't get the paint touches, but he was still able to do damage. And I think for me, it was interesting because the Thunder were down 4 points and Shai was playing this way. I think who said it? Who said that? They were like, "Oh, the Thunder are only down 4 points and Shai's playing like dog shit." I think it was Rue. Somebody said it. Zach.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, somebody said that
Oh,
out
I think it was
loud.
Zach.
Because,
Actually, it was Zach.
yeah, I think it was Zach. They were like, they're only down 4 points and Shai's playing horribly.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you the Thunder's depth, man. They're able to weather the storm. J-Dub had another great game, and Mike Breen was giving him his props, which I think was dope. He brought up how, J-Dub hasn't always done things that have showed up in the box score, but specifically this year, like I brought up earlier in the other segment, I think it's contributed to Shai winning MVP, right? But having an all-star year and then these bounce back 3 games from when people were talking shit about his bad 2 games in the Nuggets series, that's silenced. He had a great game, especially in the second half, but bro, it was cool to see that the Timberwolves were playing with effort, and I told you this, man. Like they gave them their best shot, especially in the first half, bro. Like the Timberwolves had a game plan, and they came out and executed. I think, they were playing tough defense on Shai. They were fouling. Yes, you got a free throw merchant, whatever. But I think there's a benefit to being physical. There's a benefit to having physicality, and the Timberwolves don't shy away from that. And the way that Mike Conley again was able to control the offense, come in and be efficient, and Gilgeous-Alexander Walker hitting a 3, going back, guarded 90 feet. I think it just says a lot about where the team is. But going into the second half, they started to not let go of the rope, but get away from what they were doing in the first half, attacking like the Thunder's defense, not being afraid to shoot. Again, using the pick and roll to get open threes. You said it, bro. What was it? They won threes in this game,
Yeah.
So they were really trying. Again, the game plan from Chris Finch was obviously bomb away and see what happens, but they kind of got away from that in the second half. I had it down in my notes as well. At the points in the fourth quarter, kind of went ghost. It seemed like to me that just can't happen, man. Especially whenever you're facing the Thunder in game one. You would think too. What was crazy, I had it down is the Thunder again. 2 days of rest. Game 7. You wouldn't even have known it, man. The way that they were playing, their energy high throughout the game. Shai had a way better performance in this, putting a bow on his MVP season. I think he shot like 8 of 13 in the second half. So again, just kind of flipped the script for the Thunder, and they ended up winning was 8. Just again put their foot on the Timberwolves' throat and didn't let them get back in this game. And at this point, I am a firm believer in the Thunder's ability to win the NBA Finals, bro. I think this, like we brought this up, but the prediction probably 5-6 games for me. Like you said, the Timberwolves can probably steal a game or 2, but Julius Randle had a lovely game, and so did Ant. Like they didn't have a horrible game, and I think the Timberwolves were still just coming up a little bit short. I think they outscored Minnesota like 70-40 in the second half as well. So they weren't able to shoot the ball. Minnesota, that is. I think that's going to hurt them. Obviously, whenever you're facing the best defense, it's going to be tough if you aren't able to. But fourth quarter performance amazing by the Thunder. Again, they just kind of grinded it out. Low first half they weren't able to ball well, but again, they went into the second half and their defense still trusting the process, and then everybody really found their rhythm. Step back jumpers, hit a big three, like we were watching. So they have guys that can do all things in all moments, and that's a recipe for success. But what were your thoughts behind this game, man?
Yeah, bro. Just, kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, we were watching the first half. I think probably like even the third quarter as well. I think you might have left the fourth quarter, right?
I know you're doing shorts.
Right. But first half, bro. Julius Randle, bro. That's really my main takeaway. Obviously,
he's gonna make first team probably, bro.
He's got to, bro. Honestly, I think we talked about it earlier. There's not that much players that are having a better playoffs and cooking, bro. And like you had brought it up as well earlier. I don't know if it was when we were recording, but when he's able to do that against the type of defense that we play and the type of defense we have, I think that just kind of goes to show his progression and the type of player that he's became, in really this year, honestly. Because, like, I was talking about him. I said he's like a playoff dropper for the longest, and now he's shutting me up about that. And I think I've said that multiple times, and I'll gladly admit that. But, I was just super, super impressed with the fact that we were having such a bad offensive game from the beginning, which, I was expecting a little bit coming off that game 7 2 days ago, which is crazy to me still. I was a little worried at first because I thought, that was going to play a factor into it. Like I said, we just played Sunday. Now we're playing on Tuesday. Minnesota has been resting for like a solid week. Maybe a little more than a week, something like that, because they got, they finished their previous series in 5, so they've kind of just been waiting. So I think I was a little worried, but second half came around, and I think we just kind of stuck to what exactly we were doing successful against the Nuggets. Obviously, a different team, a different type of play style as well, but I think just the physicality, us getting on runs and being able to get big stops. I think that was the main thing. I was able to take away, and just kind of, like you said, Shai's second half performance was remarkable. He didn't have the greatest first half, but he was still getting to the line. I think he was like 5 for 7 at the line. That's why he had like 10 points in the first quarter.
And at the end, yeah.
But it's kind of just, goes to show that, we don't really shy away from our type of play style. I think this was our lowest attempted 3-pointers all year that we've had, and we were still able to, scrape out with this pretty big win. So I think it kind of goes to show that, we stick to our game plan. Coach Dayton doesn't really, he trusts in our guys, and I feel like that's a huge factor. Like you talked about it, our bench depth, and I've been bringing it up all year, and it, now the whole world is kind of seeing about it. It's real, bro. Like we're solid, like 9-10 deep. Kenrich Williams didn't play at all last series. Comes off the bench, hits 2 big threes, and then hits a pull-up jumper that he took that shot because the shot clock was expiring. He had no choice. But the fact when you have I'm not expecting that each game from Kenrich. I think I even said as well, like right after he had hit that pull-up jumper, I think he might have got 2 fouls back-to-back or something, and I'm like, hey,
that's
man,
what he's out there for.
I mean, hey, you did what you had to do already for us, bro. You came in, hit 3 big shots, and, you get some fouls. That's cool with me, you know what I mean? But I think that I was super impressed with that, because I think that's something the Thunder have had all season. It's just really been the next man up mentality. And it's not even saying that, no one was really in foul trouble besides Lou Dort, and, there wasn't a player playing bad, but when you're able to kind of just, let one of your, like, we're playing a super small lineup. I think it was Shai, Dort, Kaysen, Caruso, J-Dub. J-Dub was like our 5, which we ran that a lot. Obviously, whenever, Hart, or Chet were injured throughout the season, like he was playing 5 for a decent amount of games. But I think it just kind of like goes to show just the versatility as well that we have. Like, we may not be the tallest team, but we're super fast. We're aggressive on the ball. Like you said, we're picking Anna up 90 feet, and you brought that point up whenever we did our preview last on Monday, that's going to be something that, a lot of people don't have to deal with that for a 7-game
Yeah,
series. You know what I mean? And specifically Ant. I think you had brought it up, like
dealt
even the
with it. Yeah,
Lakers, the Warriors, they really
yeah.
aren't playing that type of defense on him. And another thing you brought up, Ant also received a tech, and that was something that you said that was gonna be a factor of the game because I think he has 5 techs now, and
Yeah.
the limit is 7 before you can miss a game. So that's something to look out for. But I
Gotta
think
be careful,
gotta
bro.
be
He
careful
said it, man.
because
Because he likes to talk.
yeah, he likes to talk, and I think he got it because Shea got
He threw the
fouled. He
ball,
threw the ball
dude.
at Shea. Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna say this shit too, because sometimes Cam brought that question up, like, oh, does Ant kind of bother you? Sometimes, bro, for sure. Like he just does things where I'm like, really? Like
yeah,
that? Why? Like obviously that's gonna be tech, but like, bro, that's not even like cool, really. Like you threw the ball at me like while I'm on the ground, kind of hard, Or he pushed Shea over too, and
mm,
like he kind of like elbowed him. And then he was like, "No, like that's not a foul." And we were all like, "Oh, like what?"
that's a
Like,
foul.
but
Yeah.
at times he's got to be cool. So I'm glad you brought that up for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, because I think that is definitely going to be something. Just like the way that we play defense, we're going to be on him all game, and it's going to be hard for them to get into their actions for the pick and rolls because obviously Ant is such a dynamic player in those type of positions. But when you have Caruso on him, or even dude, shout out to Case and Wallace, bro. I show a lot of the Thunder boys love, but I feel like he's been one of those players for us. I think he got 7 assists this game,
Yep,
which
7 assists,
so shout out to
4
him.
alley-oops or some shit.
4 alley oops. He was a PG at Kentucky, and I think that's something. It just kind of goes to show how the NBA is. You kind of get drafted for a specific reason, and you're not doing what you were doing previously, but you got to adapt. But he could still do those type of things. Toss lobs and get
Yeah,
the
he's a
offense
point
flowing.
guard, bro. You can see it.
Yeah, and just
It's
kind of
Case and Wallace.
bro, just what he's been able to do on the defensive side too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
bro.
he's not the biggest guy, but he's just I think he's like pretty stocky and strong in that sense, and it's hard for people to blow past him. So and that's pretty much all of our perimeter defenders. So like I said, it was super dope. I brought it up to you. I think you had brought it up as well. The Timberwolves took 51 3-pointers and they only shot 83 times. So if that kind of goes to show the type of
Heavy
defense,
diet.
defense that we were kind of throwing at them, and just kind of the shots that they thought were probably better at the time. But it goes, I think Ant said it in their press game or their press conference afterwards. It seems like they're just loading up the paint. Like there's like every time I drive to the rim, there's like 4 bodies there, and it's they're doubling every time. It's like, yeah, we're gonna do that, like because we
For
can,
sure.
because like you might think certain passes are open, but our guys are just super athletic and quick. They're gonna probably get a hand on it and knock it out like you tip a tip pass and stuff. And I think
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
I think that's where we're gonna thrive a lot. I think with this upcoming game tomorrow, um, I'm expecting Ant to have a better performance. He didn't shoot that much this game, which kind of surprised me. Obviously, he got injured and he left. Halftime? I think that's when he got injured. He like tweaked his ankle. So obviously, we haven't heard anything about it, any update. But I'm assuming he's still gonna go out there. I expect him to have a better game, and I'm assuming he's probably gonna be a little more aggressive. That be if they're giving
sure.
him the threes, he's probably gonna shoot him more, and that's something. Whenever you're playing the Timberwolves, you're going against a player like Ant. It's gonna just open up his game. So hopefully we could try to alleviate that as much as we can. But I have respect for the Timberwolves. I'm not gonna say we're gonna beat them in 5. I said we were gonna beat them in 6.
Beat them, yeah.
I think we can. They can definitely steal a couple games. But if we keep playing like this, bro, it's gonna be pretty tough for them because like you said earlier with Ant and Julius Randle, they both had pretty good games for the most part. It's just not that's pretty much been what how they were the whole season. It's just who's gonna be that other person from their bench to provide anything, any solid minutes or just hitting big shots. And I think that's something the Thunder, we kind of have the luxury of, we have the Alex Caruso could go off for 10 or 15, and Isaiah Joe could get it going, who we haven't really seen him, kind of have a crazy 3-point game or anything. But, I think that's kind of, what I'm expecting Ant to kind of just be super aggressive coming into this next game. And, I'm expecting Shai to kind of just do what he's been doing, kind of probably get to the free throw line a lot because of the physicality of the Timberwolves. So I think that is gonna not play to their disadvantage because, like you said, it's something good. But I think because I think obviously Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, they're not young, but I think just kind of being with the team, kind of meshing, and just they're great defensively. But I didn't even bring it up. Jaden McDaniels had fouled out as well. I think that was a huge contributing factor because he's picking up Shai 90 feet. He's on him pretty much when the game starts. So I think him kind of fouling out.
But he's got to stop fouling, bro.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, the fouls and stuff. That's kind of where I brought it back to because I think we're gonna especially with a player like Shai's caliber, how he plays, he's gonna be getting a decent amount of fouls, especially if you are fouling him. So.
Dude, I was gonna say, Naz Reid and DiVincenzo just have to play unbelievable for the Timberwolves to have hope. So those guys will probably figure it out whenever they head back home. But if you're not able to get that punch, like you're saying, from Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, DiVincenzo, it's gonna be tough, bro. Because Randall and Edwards they're kind of being asked a lot, especially to do this against the best defensive team in the NBA. So. We'll see for next game, bro. We'll see. But, man, I'm heading out east for a second. I know you said it a bunch of times, man. Who you got? Knicks, Pacers, just say it, and then why, and then we'll move on.
Knicks in 7. I believe in Jalen Brunson a little more than I do Tyrese Haliburton. I think whenever the games get, they're going to get into those little clutch time moments. I think the Knicks, we talk about all the time, Thibs playing his players 40 minutes a game. It's looking good right now because they don't look as tired as any other team that hasn't been doing that but is asked to do that at this time of the year.
Right.
I think their conditioning's just a lot better in my opinion. Obviously the Pacers are a lot deeper, but I think the Knicks 5 is better than the Pacers 5. And I just think McCall Bridges, OG Anunoby, I think they're going to be, not locking down everybody, but they're going to take away pressure from the offense that the Pacers are able to establish throughout the whole games. I think that's where I'm keying.
They put a lot of pressure on the Knicks for sure, bro. Mm-hmm. So I like that. I think I'm going with Knicks in 6, baby. Jalen Brunson's going to get the job done. King of New York, it's Jalen Brunson. He's going to get the job done in game 1, bro. It's simple. I think the plan is just attack, keep up the pace. No pun intended. You got to outscore them, bro. So overs in this series is definitely a must. I think Thibodeau's going to have them firing up a bunch of threes and look for Jalen Brunson to get other people involved, man. I think these types of series just come down to which team has the best player, and I feel like even in the case of the Thunder and the T-Wolves, going with Shai, the MVP. So I gotta take Brunson for sure, but Knicks in 7, no doubt. But bro, you see these rookie teams, man, because they got announced as well last night, bro. I was wondering if you had a chance to.
I was able to.
Hey, one of my guys made it, bro. I'm not gonna lie, like. I said Buzelis was gonna make that hub, and he really made that hub, bro.
You did, yeah, 100%.
I was like, damn, bro. I was like, sheesh, all right. But getting right into it, man. They announcing the rookie teams last night, so that was pretty cool. We've kind of gone through here and there throughout our sprinkled it in, right? Defensive Player of the Year, Mobley, Coach of the Year, right? Atkinson obviously got the Cavs duo, and then Most improved, man. Super excited about Dyson Daniels coming through for you. We was really just waiting on the MVP. We ended up getting that today. And now it's just really these rookie teams and these all NBA that we got coming out. So they were able to put out the list yesterday. Started with my guy, Matas Buzelis, first one on the second team. He's averaging like 9 points, a couple rebounds. But I think, I brought it up in, 12 podcasts ago. But, bro, just seeing his ascension in the second half of the season, I think is what put him here on the second team. He was really one of the Bulls' best players at the latter half of the year, man. One of the top 5 best players, Giddey, Kobe White. They don't have a lot of guys still, but Montas Buzelis was contributing at a high level, getting 12 points, 6 or 7 rebounds. So I think his per 36 minute stacks, if you're able to play him 35, 36 minutes, you're going to get 14 points with like 8 boards. And as a rookie, that's very, very solid. And there's a reason why this list. I also think he's one of the better defensive guys that we have on the second team. So shout out Montas Buzelis. Next guy, we got Bub, man. Carrington, shout out. You guys don't have a lot of hope, but this dude definitely gives you guys hope. Just what he was able to do in the assist category, bro. 5 assists, 10 points. I think the young kind of point guard learning how to run the offense. Talked about the Wizards a little bit more than I would have liked this season, but they have a lot of growing to do, a lot of learning to do, bro. And I think he's been able to contribute to what they're doing on the good side, right? Him and Alex Sarr being that tandem, and we'll talk about Sarr in a second. But that little rookie duo definitely paid dividends for them this season. And I think the Wizards have a lot of hope going on in future seasons. So he had a great year, bro. We've talked about this pod, but just his defensive ability, what he was able to do to get other players involved. And of course, the 10 points on 43% from the field, pretty good. Next guy we got on the list, bro, Donovan Clingan, right? I mean, come on, man, repping Portland Trailblazers. You talked about him. The average, I think, the most blocks in the class, if I'm not mistaken. And then his rebounding just insane, bro. I think he had a 20 rebound game at the end of the season as well. So Donovan Clingan is definitely a reckon from UConn, one of the bigger guards one of the bigger centers that we had out of that draft. He's been able to contribute. The Portland Trailblazers aren't a place that he was going to sit and rot. And I think, going out there and getting 30 minutes playing alongside Sharp, Anthony Simons, getting a chance to really showcase what it obviously proved valuable. So shout out Donovan Clingan, bro. He wishes he probably got more coming, my man. I know it's so don't. Hey, next we got our guy, bro. Yves Missi.
Yes,
Talk
sir.
about him for a second.
yeah, bro. Yves Missi. For everyone that doesn't know, he was the center for the New Orleans Pelicans. Really, there was. I mean, I don't have it up on the screen, but he started a decent amount for them. So
yeah, for sure.
And he was
I think like 66 games. I think he started, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy.
A lot.
As a rookies too. I feel like that was something that I think I had him on my team. I don't remember my team exactly. I don't think I had Modest. I don't think I had Modest. That was the only one.
Oh, okay.
I think I might have had Collier, but Yves Missi, like you said, bro. He's one of the better centers that we have especially as a rookie. I think what he was just able to do, obviously still pretty raw prospect. He still has a lot that he can do to get better, but just kind of what he was able to provide for them on the defensive side of the ball and just kind of rebounding.
Defense.
Yeah. He was
sure.
super great. But yeah,
super athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bro. He's I think basically also to piggyback on what CJ was saying, just think he hurried up the Pelicans timeline because I don't think they were expecting him to be as good as he was in his first year. And I think getting the production that they got from him this season, I think he averaged it was like 8 points, like 7 boards, I want to say. So almost damn near double. So that's pretty crazy. Only playing like 27, 28 games. So shout out Yves Missi, man. And then next
he's
player
also
on this
the lowest draft pick to make a rookie team. 21.
Where was he drafted at again?
Baylor.
Okay. What pick?
21.
All right. Shout out Yves Missi. There you go.
That was a solid pick by them, like you said.
For sure.
You didn't
For
expect
sure.
him
To get him at 21, bro. That was Hey, shout out to Pelicans for real. They're figuring it out. Next player on this list, man, gotta hold it down for the Heat, bro. Khalil Ware. I think he kind of played himself into this. I think he was averaging a double double at the end of the season, second half post All-Star break. So the Heat have been looking for a center to really play with Bam and be able to coexist. I think Khalil Ware is the perfect person to do so. Super athletic, can run the pick and roll with Tyler Hero, and then can step outside and hit some threes if needed. So that's exactly what the Heat were looking for. I think he just adds to their depth and what they're doing and can fit right into Heat culture. And he just had a great year, man. What can I say? I think he's been really, really awesome. And I think it's just, it's more power to the Heat. They draft well every single year. They're never really looking for a diamond. They kind of know exactly and why, and I think they hit it with that's another hit. Khalil Ware's a smash hit, so shout him out. That rounds our second. All those guys were extremely impactful. Just the blend of players that we have in this. But going into this first team, man, bro, you want to start off with a rookie? Obviously, Stephon Castle, bro.
Yeah.
Yep, Area 51. I mean, here you go. I think the Spurs have been looking for someone to come around, Castle that is, in a long minute. Just athletic guard, somebody who's used to winning. Just looking for. I think they found that 14 points, a couple assists, couple rebounds this year. Really, for me, it was whenever we went down, he stepped in as being kind of that second fiddle to being able to score, man. Whenever I watched him play, I think he had like him and Keldon Johnson went for like 8 piece, and it just goes to show you, man, his dunk contest participant as well. I think he was the only rookie to participate. Well, him and Mataz.
Mm-hmm.
I think him and Mataz were the only rookies to participate. But yeah, just a high flyer, bro. Extremely, extremely. I think he played himself into the Rookie of the Year because of the injury to Wemby, but I think he grew a ton from that, and we talked about him earlier. So shout out Steph Castle, bro, Rookie of the Year. Obviously going to be all rookie selection, so shouts out to him. Next player I have on my list, bro, is Zachary Ricochet. Talked about him, bro, but he was really starting to. I think he's kind of the underrated French player. Whenever we have, we got a drafted pretty highly, obviously. Bro, he had that 30-point performance, and I was like, damn, bro, they got a good prospect in Ricochet. I think what he's able to do from the three-point line and kind of all of his guard skills, he's an ball if you need him to. He can kind of take some pressure off of Trae Young, especially with the Jalen. What contributed to his ascension at the end of this year is just felt more comfortable in the Hawks were running. And I think his growth, man, it's like if you're looking at a chart, it was kind of like teetering, but he started going up at the end, bro. And I think he's going to make significant improvements going next season. So shout out to Zachary Ricochet. I think he's definitely, what did he averaged like 13 points, bro. I think he finished second in the rookie. So, he was right there, bro, right there. Next player on this list, got to go with my dog, Alex Sarr, another Frenchman. Just killing it, bro. What more can I say? Really kind of came into his own. I remember the podcast. I was talking to you on a podcast about what he did to the Lakers mid-range, just showcasing his height as well, too. Very tall guy. Summer League performance was very sketchy. We're kind of doubting what he could be, and I think ultimately what he gave the Wizards on the team, who was honestly the worst in the NBA, I think, on the defensive end. It's very bright to see Koulibaly, Carrington, Alex Sarr, they're younger defensive side of the ball. So I think he also was averaging 10 points, well. So he had another great year, man, and that's the reason why first team all rookie. I think Alex Sarr again too, because I don't think they were expecting him to improve as quickly as he did, but he's just got better. Really, it's his defense, man. I think he's going to contribute a lot they find a true point guard they can build their team around. So shout out to Alex Sarr, bro, holding it down for France. Don't be surprised if you see him at the next Olympics. Same with Reece Shai. Going into the last two, man, on the same team, but they definitely held up their end of the bargain well. Zach Edey and Jalen Wells. Punch Jalen Wells. Obviously, me and CJ are a quick and speedy recovery, but he was crazy, man. Just from getting the Memphis Grizzlies involved at Durant, Scottie Pippen, ball handling duties, and he's able to go in there and contribute threes, kind of score, be instant. I think again, bro, they knew what they were gonna do. They got Jalen Wells, bro, the type of player that he was gonna become, and I think it just goes to show you what they're doing in that. And again, Zach Edey, 2-time Wooden Player of the Year, was never not going to be able to play basketball, right? We talked about that. We had him on our first team as well, but just the rebounding, bro, at his side, touch. I think he doesn't get the love that he deserves whenever we talk about his offensive game, but he's very polished, and I think kind of reminds me of like a Hakeem the Dream almost, big, but his touch off the glass and is extremely showing almost average double-double. Just crazy, bro. So shout out to the Grizzlies. They've been able to build an extremely great organization over there. And yeah, that wraps up the all rookie team. So, I'm glad I got through. So super. But we got some NBA bets for you.
Yeah. So I don't think my bets hit last time. Let me just double check.
Mine didn't either. I had a Brunson parlay 24.5, and I had 24.5. Both of those guys, man, I apologize. They didn't even hit those lines.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think we might have talked about it Monday or Saturday whenever we shot, because obviously we shoot multiple times a week. But Julius Randle hit. That was a 21.5. I think he dropped like 28.
We did.
And then Jaylen Brown, I think his line was 26.5. He got 26. So of course. Hopefully, I did a little spicy one today for the boys. I did a little 4-man parlay, obviously on the game tonight. My picks I'm going with, bro. I got Pascal over 18.5 points. I think that's a good line for him. I think he's been averaging 20 pretty much this whole playoffs. Obviously, he hasn't gone against a defense.
You're not worried about OG? Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. I am a little bit, but I think he could still get 20.
He's still gonna hit that, yeah.
Yeah, I think
free throws,
yeah. Especially if he's hitting his 3, I think that's where the game will kind of open up a lot for him, because obviously we know what he could do in the mid range and in the paint. But I think he's just gonna be. I mean, he's gonna have to. He's gonna have to be aggressive. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna need someone besides, like their bench or someone to be able to score a little bit, and I think he's gonna be that one. Next one, this one. I wanted to get it made a little interesting. I did Tyrese Halliburton over 27.5 points and assists. I think that's a line that I'm pretty comfortable with Tyrese hitting at this point. He's kind of proven to.
Not higher?
No,
Jeez.
It's not. Surprise. That's why I was like kind of surprised, because I feel like he could probably get, 10 assists or something.
12 assists.
Yeah, 12 assists.
Yeah.
Like, especially just the way they play. You know what I mean? I think that kind of goes to what we've been saying all year. They just up tempo offense that's easy to get it going for a player like Tyrese. And then if he's hitting, then it's a whole different ball game. Next one, Jalen Brunson, bro, 28.5 points. Took that over. Like I said, I speak highly of him. He's slowly becoming one of my favorite players in the league. I think it's the Brunson burner, bro. I think you might have even said it. Anytime, whatever his line is, take the over, and I'm rocking with that. And my next one, I just wanted to add another one. It's a little degen in me, and it's a playoff game, and it's something I'm not too invested into, so wanted to make it a little interesting.
Let's see.
Miles Turner over 1.5 3-pointers made.
Great bet. That's a great bet.
I like that.
He's gonna shoot 6 or 7, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hit 2? Yeah, that's a good question, man. I'm rooting for you, bro. I love that parlay. I might have to tail. You have, just to recap, you got Pascal Siakam at 18.5.
Mm-hmm.
points and assists at 27.5 or 26.
27.5.
27.5. You got Brunson at 28.5, and then you got Miles Turner 1.5 threes. So if you guys like that, you can take them all straight. They're all probably even minus 120.
Yeah.
So if you guys like straight betting, you choose one.
Yes, sir. What you got for the boys today,
man? Bro, yeah, I'm following the herd. I'm going with Brunson as well, but I'm taking him at Knicks and Pacers over 219. So two alt lines again, but it's plus 100 for even money, 2 picks. So I'm not trying to do too much. I feel like Brunson, he's good for 25, and I feel like this series is going to be high paces. Whoever's going to be able to give me scoring in this series. Yeah, 220. I feel like both teams could score 110, or one team is going to be able to score 114 points, right? So we may not need 110 from both, but we'll see, man. I just think this game is going to have more fireworks than we got yesterday.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's crazy because Rue had did that little short or like recorded video of us predicting. You and I got.
He did.
I think you might have got a little closer. I didn't expect the Timberwolves to not break 90, but
I said like 98.
Yeah, I think you said was it like 109.98 or something like that? I think mine was like 105.96 or something like that. Like we're in the same ballpark.
We were close.
We got pretty close, bro. We got pretty close.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
Yeah, I think
actually it's funny you brought that up. I was watching the score at the end when I went home to be like, did I guess this score?
Yeah, you got super fucking close.
Yeah. I was like, nah.
But no, I think this series is, like you said, it's gonna be, contrary to popular belief, probably with the Knicks, right? But I think it's gonna be a super offensive series. Like,
I agree.
Pacers are gonna be playing how they usually
do.
We could be wrong. I mean, obviously, if the Pacers aren't hitting or whatever, I think it's obviously gonna slow down, and that's when it kind of gets to where the Knicks kind of type of game. But if they're hitting, I think the Knicks they're gonna have to not play to the Pacers style, but they're gonna have to speed it up a little bit, which they're very capable of doing. We've seen 4 of their players hit 20 points in a game, so it's not a crazy thing to think of. And I think it's like you said, it's gonna be a lot more fireworks than last night's game for sure. And we even said that as well in the previous pod. We think this series is probably gonna be a better series.
Hey, our analysis has been on point, bro. I ain't tripping. We're gonna see how these all defense out. Me and CJ, just to recap kind of what's going on next week or so, we're gonna be coming out with some all playoff teams, guys. Still recapping the teams that roll out, and then all NBA too. But CJ, you got anything else you want to say? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP. Thunder only need 3 more games to get to the finals. Is there anything?
Nah, bro, you said it perfectly. Shai is the 2024-2025 NBA MVP. Like you said, Thunder need 3 more wins, so that's really what I'm focused on. And yeah, bro, Thunder up. That's all I gotta say.
Thunder up, baby. Yeah, I'm a Thunder fan now, like I said on the last podcast. But all right, you guys, that's gonna do it. Boys over here at 3-Man Weave. If you guys like the episode, leave a like, comment, subscribe. And we're gonna catch you guys next time, man. Peace. 3-Man.
3-Man.